Hello and welcome back to All Things Money. I'm your host David Blain, and during today's show we're talking a little bit about the high-speed trading world and how you can pay for access, early access to data. We were using the example of the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Poll that is released. It's a very valuable piece of information that people use. It gives a reading on the sentiment of the greater public. And we talked about how Thomson Reuters has paid $1.2 million to the University of Michigan for access to this data, and they provide it 2 seconds ahead of the release time. So for example, if the data is scheduled to be released at 10 o'clock in the morning, they would receive it at 9:59 and 58 seconds, 2 seconds early. Now, let's say you're at home and you're a trader and you want to try to benefit from this information. Well, that's fine. Thomson Reuters, they pay $5,000 to get this data from Thomson Reuters. You would pay $5,000 a month for the data feed, and then you pay a $1,025 monthly connection charge. So essentially, somewhere around $6,000 a month, you can get this information 2 seconds early as well. Okay, so they release it 2 seconds ahead of time to all their algorithm traders who trade. Then the other news wires start picking it up, and then 5 minutes later, okay, now let me back up here. The 2 second early lead time is before the other news outlets get it. So let me correct what I'm saying. If you're paying for the news feed, let's say it's going to be released at 10 a.m., you're actually getting it at 9:54 and 58 seconds, because 5 minutes before the release, it goes out to all the news wires. This is pretty typical. It goes out to all the news wires so that their reporters have, about 5 minutes to study it. And then it's released publicly. It's posted on their website at 10 o'clock. So the broad release that goes out to the journalists and news wires and things like that is generally 5 minutes ahead of actually posting on the website. So if you're sitting around anxiously waiting until 10 o'clock and you're logging on the website, getting the information, well, you're already 5 minutes and 2 seconds behind the rest of the high-speed traders. By that point, any money to be made has already been made. This is kind of interesting. In the article, the editor-in-chief of Reuters' rival Bloomberg News was criticizing the University of Michigan's arrangement with Reuters, but then later it was disclosed that actually 6 years earlier, Bloomberg was bidding with Reuters to try to get the data access 2 seconds early. So anyway, it's kind of funny. The Wall Street Journal publisher Dow Jones does not have access to any early data, but they also disclose that certain data is only available to paying subscribers of the Wall Street Journal. Not a big deal. I mean, millions of people subscribe to it, but the point is that there are sort of paywalls within the data information world of this public information that is created by private and non-governmental agencies. The Chicago Business Barometer, which is a monthly indicator of economic activity, the German financial exchange, the Deutsche Börse AG, bought the rights to produce and distribute it 2 years ago, and they sell early access starting at only $2,600 per year. So you can get the Chicago business activity for the relatively low cost of $26 a head. And they say that they receive this market-moving data 3 minutes before public release. For example, on April 30th, this barometer showed its lowest reading in 3.5 years. And so if you bought early access, you got the data at 9:42 a.m. And at 9:42 a.m. that day, the SPDR S&P 500, it's an ETF that tracks the market, traded 1.4 million shares, which was triple the number in the previous minute. And by the time the public release at 9:45, the price was 24 cents lower. So anyone who wasn't paying for access to the data and they waited for the actual release, the price had already gone down by 24 cents. Now, you may not think that's a lot, but if you're trading, millions or even billions of dollars, 24 cents, you can make a lot of money on that. This trading firm called Chopper, Chopper Trading. Just the name of the firm, Chopper Trading, makes me not want to be on the other side of that trade. It sounds like, some mafia thing that chop your knees out. Anyway, it said that they trade on an early release of the Institute Supply Management data as well. This index, which is very old, is considered one of the most important economic reports out there. It also is distributed by Thomson Reuters, and this data costs $2,000 a month plus that $1,000 connection fee that they charge if you don't already have it. So the ISM news release routinely goes out about 5 to 10 seconds later after the high-speed data feed people get it. On February 1st, to give you an example, when this data was released, the single second after the clock struck 9 or 10 o'clock, the volume in the S&P 500 ETF soared to 719,000 shares from about 27,000 the prior second. So anyway, the point of this past two segments is if you're trying to trade at home, we've outlined this numerous times that there are people paying for access to the data. There are insiders such as congressmen, and whenever you're buying or selling something, you got to remember there's someone else on the other side of that trade, and does that person know more than you do? Do they have access to better data than you, or do they have access to the data before you? When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about healthcare reform and what it means to you, the consumer, hopefully try to demystify some of that for you.